Blade got what was coming to him. How do you feel, my friend?
Constipated. The food here sucks. Can I kill the cook?
Come on, big guy. Right now, somewhere in hell, Marmalade is getting fucked up the ass with a pineapple.
Yeah.
Before we start today's video, I just want to do a quick update on a situation that I reported on yesterday, which was that a subsidiary from Disney had placed a content ID claim on a fan film, which is Vader Episode 1 Shards of the Past by Star Wars Theory, and they were actually monetizing his film, which was pretty scummy thing to do. Well, it turns out that actually Lucasfilm went to bat for Star Wars Theory and was able to get them to release that claim because it was pretty much just a crappy thing to do all around. So thank you to everybody that reported on this. That was a really good job. And thank you to the community for rallying behind this. Like, I have a vested interest because I want to see Episode 2 and Episode 3, and I want Star Wars Theory to be motivated to do more of these. So good job, everyone. And here's today's video. Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here, coming at you with another edition of the Cons Cast. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about Spacelords. This is a free-to-play game that I ran into earlier this weekend. And as with every free-to-play game, the first question in most people's minds is going to be, Rurikhan, is this a sponsored video? And the answer is no. The reason I ran into this game is because I was going through the PlayStation Store in order to find the God Eater 3 demo, because for some reason in the Portuguese store, you couldn't just use the search function to find it. You had to manually navigate through free games, demos, all that stuff until you eventually got there. And along the way, I ran into Spacelords, and it reminded me that I had seen a video for some reason on my feed not so long ago where there was this content creator that really enjoyed this game. So I decided to check it out. Now, Spacelords was actually initially called Raiders of a Broken Planet. This game, I believe, came out in 2017, but I'm not 100% sure. And the main reason why I didn't check it out back then is because Spacelords had this whole 4v1 thing going for it, and that was kind of like one of their main marketing points, because I remember seeing emails about this game on my email, and I remember like, oh, so this is just like a different kind of Evolve, kind of, I guess. And, you know, Evolve never really felt particularly interesting. Like, sure, I played it and it was whatever, but I was just like, you know, I'm not really in the mood for something else like Evolve. Well, since then, they've rebranded into Spacelords, and they've changed up a couple of things in the game, because the game used to actually be pay to play, I think, and now they're completely free to play, and you can unlock all of the campaigns by playing the game. However, it does have that usual problem that we tend to have with free to play games, which is the fact that it is an extremely grindy game. It is going to take you repeating the same missions multiple times in order to unlock new missions so that you can keep on having fun with different missions, as well as unlock characters as well. Now, the game in and of itself could be considered a third-person shooter, but in my opinion, it's more like a third-person brawler, because it's almost like the weapons for each of these characters are more of a support type situation, because your main objective isn't really going to be to shoot people and kill people with your gun. Your objective is to actually kill people with melee hits, because if you kill your enemies with melee attacks, then that is going to allow you to absorb Aleph, which is going to power up your character, as well as it's going to allow you to fulfill certain objectives in the game that require you to use Aleph to power up a specific device, or overcharge a specific device, or power up something. But basically, Aleph is like one of the main things about this game that kind of distinguishes it from every other third-person shooter. Because, like I said, a lot of games, a lot of these third-person shooters, your objective is going to be to shoot people dead. In this one, you really want to kill them, and to kill them with melee hits. And the cool thing about it is that they came up with this system, which is kind of like rock, paper, scissors. So there's 3 types of melee actions that you can do. You can dodge, you can grapple, or you can punch. Punch or melee hit, whatever, strike, I think is what they call it. And the way it works is like strike beats grab, grab beats dodge, dodge beats strike. So you can dodge away from strikes, but you can't dodge away from grabs. And you can grab people that are dodging away, but you cannot grab people that are punching you. And this makes that system not just be like random, but at the same time it gives everyone a bit of a shot at being able to kill the other person as well as being able to counter someone. So for instance, someone is attacking you, they need to do like 3 melee hits on you in order to kill you. So if at the second melee hit you're able to dodge, and then you kind of get a bit of a reset, so they can either try to punch you again, at which point if you dodge again you'll be able to dodge. But if you dodge twice in a row and the other person goes in for a grab, he's going to grab you and is probably going to kill you, unless you dodge out of their range, which makes the whole melee aspect of the game be one of the most important things for you to actually master. More important even than the weapons themselves, in my opinion. But naturally, the weapons also provide you with different playstyles, like the character that I'm probably going to be playing in this is Lot. And Lot essentially has a grenade launcher that pushes people around, which is really good for me setting up kills because I can just get my grenades to bounce people off and then go in there and finish them off with a melee strike or something of that nature. But there's a bunch of different characters that allow you to play with different styles. There's characters that jump off walls and float around. There's other characters that have like a sniper rifle, and they have very specific mechanics as to how the sniper rifle can work. Matching those characters with these different missions that you have in the game actually makes for a very interesting experience, I found, particularly because of the game's art style and attitude. It is very much in your face. It doesn't take itself too seriously. You can see that from the cinematics that you get ahead of every mission. There's like a briefing where these characters are interacting. If I could criticize anything about the cinematics, though, is that they use shaky camera a little bit too much, which in a lot of ways provide those cutscenes with a little bit more authenticity, but at the same time makes them a little bit more hectic than I would like. But it makes sense. It all kind of like lends pretty well. And the thing about this game, and the reason why I want to talk about it, is not because I want to tell you, oh, you guys should play this game, invest a bunch of time into this game, because I think that overall the gameplay loop is actually a little bit on the rough side because of the fact that there's not that many people playing the game right now. At least that is my interpretation, because usually whenever I queue up, it can take up to 5 to 10. I've even had instances where I think I waited like 15 minutes before it actually matched me up with a team. And usually the longer it takes, it means that the more the level balance is going to be completely skewed. So for instance, the very first match that I ever did in this game, there was me at level 1, there was another player at like level 10, then there was another player at level 320 something, and then another player 100 something, which basically meant that, you know, some of the enemies, at least I think, were a little bit scaled, a little bit higher than my character, which made it a little bit harder for me to learn how to play on my very first match. But having said that, the level of those players does influence how hard the enemies are, but you can still take them down with melee hits and with grapples and all of that stuff. So you can still be a viable addition to your team even at level 1, even though you're not going to be as powerful because, you know, there's cards and passive effects that you can get to level up your character. There's weapons that you can craft. There's a whole progression system to the game, which is character dependent. So if you invest a lot of points into a character, you better be damn sure that you can pick that character when the time comes to play the mission, because otherwise you're basically going to have to play with different characters because they don't let you have 2 of the same character on a single mission, as well as certain missions actually have certain characters that cannot take part because they are like they're part of the scripted events in the mission, and it wouldn't make sense to have 2 of them. Now, these missions, like I said, are pretty fun because of the way that the melee system works, the combination of the shooting and the melee, and I really like the weight of the melee system that you get, because you do really feel the impact of the punches and all this stuff as you're trading blows with someone. Sometimes it can be pretty frustrating, particularly when you're fighting more experienced players, because like I said, there is the possibility of an antagonist joining against your mission. Basically what that means is that there's going to be 4 players there working towards the same goal, and if someone queues as an antagonist, they're going to show up and they're going to try to screw up with your mission. It's almost like invading your game, essentially, is the same way. I think they even call it like an antagonist has invaded your game or something. And I think that's an interesting mechanic. And ultimately, here's the thing. Regardless of whether you win or lose, you're going to get increased rewards because there's an antagonist there. So having an antagonist in your match is not necessarily a bad thing. Sure, it can be frustrating, particularly if they happen to be much higher level than you and they're more experienced. But like I said, it's mostly because they have more experience, so they have a better mastery of the whole melee system and they know how to counter you a little bit better. Not necessarily because they're more powerful, which sure, they're more powerful as well, but when it gets down to that melee system, whether you're level 1 or level 300, you still always have a fighting chance of taking someone down, which in my opinion is a really cool aspect of it. Now the thing is, like I said, you're going to be repeating a lot of these missions in order to level up. Level up takes a long time, and a lot of the characters are also locked behind your player level. And that's one of the things that annoys me, because one of the characters that I want to play requires me to be like level 48. You guys know that I'm not someone that's like, oh, I need to unlock all the characters. I'm just like, oh, whatever. I want to get this one character. And the one character that I want is like level 48. And I can already tell that it's going to be one hell of a grind to get there. And naturally, if you happen to put in some money and whatnot, you can speed up that process. You can buy experience boosts. You can also buy character skins, that kind of stuff, which is one of the reasons that I say it's like, I'm not going to tell you to come into this game and just like invest a bunch of time into it, but I would tell you at least try it out just to experience this craziness that I'm talking to you about, how the game's attitude, and I don't know, there's just something about the feel of this game that I find particularly appealing. It's not the grind, it's not the fact that, you know, you have to spend way more hours than I would care to playing in order to actually unlock the cool stuff. It's just the missions themselves and the cinematic cutscenes. I think the cutscenes really do a lot for me on this title for some strange reason. And at the same time, one of the things that I think impressed me the most is how well optimized this game is on the PlayStation 4, because usually whenever you have free-to-play games, not a lot of them are properly optimized for consoles, because most of them come from the PC, and a lot of times developers are just like, just port it over, and however it gets there, it gets there. And a lot of the times that means that the game is not going to be properly optimized. So I was very surprised as to how Spacelords runs both on the PS4 Pro as well as on the regular PS4, because I was playing with a couple of friends, and one of my friends was playing on his regular PS4, and the game was still playing pretty decently. Like, I'm not saying that you're going to be constant 60 FPS, but it's close. Good visuals, good animations, and a really cool looking art style. And like I said, there's just some kind of attitude to this game that for some reason I find that really appealing. Now, another cool aspect of this as well is that this game supports crossplay. I'm not sure if it supports crossplay across all of the platforms, but I can definitely tell you that it has crossplay between PS4 as well as PC, because I remember seeing the icons of the people that were in my party, and one of them had like a computer icon, and there's even like a crossplay option in the options of the game so that you can turn that off if you don't want to. But I thought it was pretty cool because, you know, that way if you have friends that play on the PC and friends that play on PS4, this is a game that you can actually bridge that gaming gap and all of you can have fun with, which, again, is a surprising thing because I had never played the game before, and it's got all of these cool aspects to it. Now, one of the problems that I actually have with the game is the fact that if you want to start playing this game for the very first time and, you know, you want to get into a match at a reasonable speed, you have to go into quick play. As a matter of fact, I think the very first couple of times that you play the game, you're forced to go into quick play. And why do I have a problem with that? Because the game actually has a sequence of events for each of these missions, and when you go into gameplay, into quick play, you're basically picking a random mission from all of the missions that are available to you, which means you're not going to be experiencing the events in the order that they were designed to be experienced. And that, I feel, does this game a massive disservice, because essentially the narrative, in my opinion, is actually really cool. I think that the story and the events that take place, I'm not going to say that they're, oh man, the story is fantastic. I just want to say the story is fun to watch. Like the cutscenes, what happens in between each of the missions, and I would like to be able to play the game solo to just enjoy that stuff. And that is one of the biggest downsides of this game, is that for the very first time that you play, you can't play solo. You have to play with a team. You have to do a quick play. And after that, even if you want to play solo, solo is essentially what they call a training mode. So you can't even get experience for playing solo, as far as I can tell. And because of that, if you can't get experience for playing solo, you also can't unlock new missions playing solo. You always have to play in multiplayer in order to continuously unlock the missions to figure, to get to play the next missions. And they unlock in the weirdest of orders. Like, the very first mission that I did was the mission where you go and you free loot. That's not supposed to be the first mission that you play, like if you're playing the game chronologically. And then after that, I played another, I don't remember what mission I played after that, but basically I just started playing missions in completely random order, and then you're left to kind of piece together how the story goes. Like, I think this game would benefit immensely from just having a single player mode that you could run through if you wanted to, so an optional thing, and it would reward you with experience for running through that single player mode for the very first time that you play the game. And I think one of the reasons why they don't do that is because they might be struggling with the number of players currently playing the game. But the problem then becomes, if you're struggling and the players, the first time that they come into your game, they might necessarily not have the best of experiences because they have to go into quick play and everything is so confusing, and it's like, oh, what does my character do? Am I gonna help? Because like the very first mission that I got, like I said, was the one where you rescue Lot, and in order to do that, you have to carry these kegs into these tanks, and then you have to wait for them to detonate. And it was so confusing for me because it was the first time that I was playing, and I was like, where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? Am I helping? And it's like, I guess I'll shoot at these dudes over here, and oh, I guess they got me. They killed me with the melee system because I haven't really gotten to use it all that much yet. I have no idea what I'm doing. So it was very, very confusing, and I think that a lot of players, the first time that they'll play this game, I think they'll find it extremely confusing, and there's no way for them to just hop into a place where they can just go practice to understand how their characters work. In order to do that, you have to first do quick play, and only then you can do the training mode to understand the objectives of the different missions. I mean, pretty much whenever I go into a completely new mission, you're going to see me struggle. I'm going to be like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. Am I doing this right? I don't know what's happening, because you're just left to your own devices, and, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work. And especially if, as a new player, you go into a mission and you get an experienced antagonist, who will just like constantly chase you down, because he'll see that low level, which means that he can exploit you in order to take advantage of your team and use up all of your team's lives. They will do that because, playing as an antagonist is pretty hard. So they'll take every advantage they can get. And for a newer player that just happens to join in and gets completely pummeled by an antagonist, that might be the difference between him continuing to play the game or him just dropping the game. He's like, I don't understand what's happening. I quit, And that, I think, is one of the things that they're struggling with. I think, and again, this is just as someone that has only played like 10 to 15 hours of this game, I think they should have a single player campaign, again, that was optional. So if you wanted to just jump into multiplayer with friends, you can do that. Or you can do your single player campaign, and it would reward you with a certain level of experience, and it would allow you to just play out the story of the game, because like I said, I think the story is fun. I'm not saying it's the best story ever told or anything, but it is fun. The cutscenes are fun, and a lot of times you almost feel bad because you're like, oh, I want to watch the cutscene, so you press the button to watch the cutscene, which everybody else is skipping because they're just doing the grind, and you almost feel bad because you're like, oh, I'm holding my team back because I'm watching this cutscene, but I really want to watch this cutscene. I want to see what happens. I want to see what the motivation is for this mission, and it just creates this weird thing where, again, you almost feel bad because you want to experience the story, but there's no easy, convenient way to do it. You can do it after the fact. So as you unlock the different missions, you can then go in and you can play by yourself, and you can, do the whole thing solo. But first, you have to play it with other players, which can be confusing and overwhelming and all of that stuff. So yeah, I think that they could benefit from having like a better way of newer players just kind of joining the game and allowing them to explore the game at their own pace, instead of just throwing them onto the deep end and being like, well, figure it out. you know? The tutorial actually explains stuff pretty well if you bother to watch the tutorial video, but, you know, you still have to, like, execute the different melee attacks to understand how long it takes, what, you know, what actions can you take, what actions should you take in order to analyze the different patterns and how long it takes your character to attack, how long it takes your character to dodge, what is the range of your grapple. All of these things are extremely important. But yeah, other than that, it's just, like I said, I just think you guys should check it out at least once just to experience the, some of the cutscenes in the game because they're pretty friggin' cool. Either way, I'm curious to know what you guys think about it. So if you do try it out, let me know in the comment section. If you have been playing Spacelords before, then let me know what the downsides of it are besides the crazy amount of hours that you have to do in order to grind if you want to get certain characters and if you want to unlock all of the missions in the game, because yeah, the missions also unlock as you level up, and it, like I said, it takes a while. You're going to be repeating the same missions multiple times. But yeah, guys, let me know in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.